You know, every now and then, either on stream or in the comment section of any given YouTube video, I'll read a reply along the lines of, "Hey man, I stopped playing D2 a while ago because of XYZ, but I still watch your content sometimes," which is nice and I appreciate that. And at the almost certain risk of being called a shill-tastic grade A Winona meat rider, I want to say with a completely straight face that if you have tapped out of Destiny 2 in the past few years, A, totally understandable, but B, you should 100% at least consider returning for the final shape. Yes, a completely bold and unexpected statement coming from the guy whose content is 99% Destiny 2 across the board. Although, for the record, I still like Helldivers. New Warbond video coming this Thursday, by the way. But yeah, I get it. You don't believe me? Content creator wants more people to play the game he mains. Partially true. Bungie probably given him a tug under the gaming desk. Yada, yada, yada. And again, I get it. You may have been burned in the past. So how is this time any different? Good question. Well, to say that Bungie is going all out to make it easy for players to get back into the game for the conclusion of the Light Dark saga would be an understatement. Barriers to entry are actually getting knocked down left and right, and as a longtime player of the franchise, it's actually fairly wild to watch unfold. For those of you who have been tapped out for a long time, June 4th is the launch of the final shape and basically our Avengers Endgame moment as we face off against the Witness. And even though Lightfall definitely drops the ball story-wise for me, I really want to see how the saga ends and what happens afterwards. Bungie's got all the usual bullshit hype trailers going, but they're actually pretty fire, and we're going into the Traveler, and there's long gone characters who are back. Are they dead? Is it just a vision? What's happening? I don't fucking know, but I'm hyped. I'm hyped to find out. And if you're thinking, I've been out of the game for a long time, my power level is gonna be weaker than Drake's comeback game. Well, bunch of good news for you on that front. First of all, in the final shape, there's going to be a new power floor that all players will be raised up to automatically, 1900. Meaning even if you haven't touched the game in forever, if you log in on June 4th for the final shape, all your gear will be 1900 and you'll be at the same level as everybody else. If you used to be a raider back in the day and you want to hop into the final shape raid, it happens really quickly on June 7th, 3 days after launch. And if you're worried that's not really a lot of time to be power ready, more good news. To be raid ready, you'll only need to be at 1965 power. Any higher than that won't make a difference during the day one raid due to the contest mode modifier. And apparently getting to 1965 power will be easy. If you go through the legendary campaign, you'll already be at 1960 power when you finish, meaning only 5 more levels to go, and bam, day 1 raid ready. But outside of day 1 raid stuff, what else you got? Well, Destiny 2 is getting a new mechanic in the final shape called fireteam power. In short, the player with the highest power level in the fireteam will become the power leader, and all other players in the fireteam will be brought up to 5 power below the power leader. That new mechanic was designed to prevent situations where players who might not have a ton of time to grind can still play higher level activities with their uber grinder buddies. And if you're thinking, that's cool, but I don't know, I started D2 on a hunter, but deep down, I want to start over and be a warlock because they're badass and awesome, and I don't think I'll have time to grind out a new class from scratch. Well, the final shape is also introducing account-wide power, aka the gear rewards you earn on any character will drop with a power level relative to the highest power character tied to your account, meaning it's going to be way easier to level up alt guardians on your account. And if you're thinking, well damn, but there's probably a lot of gear and exotics from major past expansions that I didn't pick up, so I'll be massively outgeared going into the final shape. Well, Bungie just announced the other day that Shadowkeep, Beyond Light, and the Witch Queen, 3 major expansions, are all free to play between now and June 3rd. There is a lot of gear under the umbrella of those 3 expansions, and if you're interested in an in-depth video next week of what gear returning players should focus on from those expansions, let me know down in the comment section, or click like on today's video. Either or. Might be kind of a longish video, but yeah, if you want me to make it, you let me know. Where was I? Oh yeah, if you're thinking, well, I'm way behind on my weapon crafting. There's a lot of patterns from past seasons I haven't finished yet and probably won't be able to finish. Well, starting from now until the launch of the final shape, the first seasonal activity you complete each day will award a deep sight weapon still missing its pattern. That includes craftable weapons from season 20, 21, 22, and 23. Again, free deep sight weapon missing its pattern each day. In short, if you're noticing a trend here of a stunningly low barrier to entry to the final shape, yeah, you would be right. We were even given one extra account name change, so if you no longer want to be Mara Sov's Bathwater, you can change your name one last time. And believe it or not, there is more. If you didn't know, D2 is in the middle of a free-to-play content expansion right now called Into the Light. TLDR there. A while ago, the release date of the final shape was delayed by half a year because Bungie felt it wasn't ready yet and they wanted to make it as good as it could be. To hold players over during that time, they created a free content drop called Into the Light, and I'm actually kind of sad about what I'm about to say. I genuinely think that Into the Light is straight up better than a lot of paid seasons we've had in the past. Not exactly a ringing endorsement for a number of old seasons, but damn, I gotta give credit where it's due. They really cooked with this one. Into the Light is really good. Included under that umbrella is Onslaught, a PvE horde mode activity, something we've been asking for years. Fair critique, it's not really an endless horde mode, which I think a lot of people were hoping for, but it is challenging and fun. And honestly, if Bungie decided to drop Gambit off the face of the earth and instead focused on building on Onslaught from here on out, I don't think there would be a ton of community complaining, or at the very least, you wouldn't hear a goddamn peep out of me. Into the Light also offers extremely farmable Brave Arsenal weapons too. And yeah, while the weapons aren't new, they are community favorites that have been spiced up with larger and better perk pools. And I'll admit, kind of a bummer that they ain't new, but several of these weapons are legit endgame content viable. And again, combined with the fact that you can farm the frickin' bejesus out of them, any returning player right now wouldn't have a real hard time locking up some damn good god rolls. You also have Pantheon, aka a raid boss gauntlet, running between now and the final shape, where it gets harder and harder each week until it's up to contest mode difficulty by the very end. You can get some badass emblems from doing that, but it's not all an ego trip. You can get raid loot from doing this free-to-play activity, even if you've never done or paid for any of the included raids before, not to mention Spoils of Conquest and specific raid exotic weapons. Never got that damn Eyes of Tomorrow to drop? Well, Pantheon is your chance to straight up grab one with no RNG. Eventually, you will be able to get conditional finality, which if you've been out of the game for a while, you might not know about, but yeah, trust me, it's pretty good. For the PvP folk out there, not bad news for you too. We just got 3 brand new PvP maps this week, and I'll say each of them is a breath of ultra fresh air when compared to Disjunction. On that note, if you've been out of the game for so long that you don't know what Disjunction is, don't worry about it. And to repeat, everything I just mentioned with Into the Light, it's all completely free, which is so wild to think about. Admittedly, I really hate the path that we took to wind up here, aka Lightfall failing many player expectations in a lot of ways, but Into the Light is a hard bounce back in my opinion, and we're going into the final shape with, dare I say, optimism? Don't get me wrong, none of this is a guarantee for future success. There's always the chance that the final shape just completely misses every freaking mark, knock on wood. But yeah, I know this probably means very little coming from someone who willingly chooses to cover this game instead of go outside and get a real job, he said half jokingly. But yeah, if you've been away from D2 for a really long time, I strongly encourage you to at least think about coming back for the final shape, if only for a little bit, to experience the end of the story. The barrier to entry for returning and new players has quite honestly never been lower, and the thought of long gone players and friends coming back to finally experience the end of the Light Dark saga 10 years in the making, it's just kind of a cool thought. But honestly, if you're out for good, if you've moved on, I understand. All the best to you with whatever you're playing or doing right now, especially if that happens to be Helldivers. Ring the notification bell for more content and prep guides as we approach the final shape. Not to be a huge nerd, but legit really excited for the end of the Light Dark saga with all the homies I've made along the way. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.